affiliate KFOR has learned a lot about these red flags while he was in prison. And I want to bring in our Brian Enton, who's reporting on this tonight. So, Brian, the tip of the iceberg seemed to be the contraband cell phone and the efforts to communicate with the teenager. But there's a hell of a lot more evidence that was discovered in his cell. What are we discovering about the beast that he was while locked up?
There is way more that came after this, but just think about it. He had the cell phone with child porn on the cell phone, sexting with an underage girl in prison, and he only goes to high security for 5 months. That's the punishment. After 5 months, he gets to go back to low security. And that is when we are now learning that he allegedly wrote close to 200 letters. 200 letters when he got to go back to the low security just after 5 months to an underage girl again, Ashley.
200 letters to an underage girl. 200. I don't even know where to start. Do we know what was in the letters? Were they releasing that information?
So our affiliate KFOR, they've seen the letters. They have seen them with their own eyes. And there is a lot of detail about gross detail, sexual detail about what he was writing to this young woman, stuff that can't be said on TV. He also talked about wanting to marry her. He talked about trying to get out of prison soon so that he could be with this young girl.
So they still released him early. Again, I go back to good for him. He accrued credits. He accrued get out of jail early credits. And all of this was going on. The 200 letters with filth and, promises to marry a 14. Actually, I think she says she was about 15 or 16 years old when this stuff was all happening. And the sheriff's department was supposed to do these checks every 3 months. So how does that fit into all of this? How did they not see or know about what was going on in the jail? And what about what was going on when he got out of jail?
Yeah, so technically the sheriff's department is supposed to check on sex offenders every 3 months to check in, make sure that they're not doing anything shady. And remember, we reported earlier this week, Ashley, that there are so many sex offenders that live right in the area of where that ranch is. So there's a statement from the sheriff's office. KFOR received it. It's actually on video. It's one of the investigators actually talking to a family member when they're saying, what the heck? Like, were you checking on this man? And what was said is, we do compliance checks, but it's like throw a dart. See which we're going to do because that's all the resources that we have to do. Essentially saying there are so many sex offenders, there are so few sheriff's deputies assigned to that unit that they just have to pick and choose which ones they check in on. Apparently, they were not checking in on McFadden because we've seen what it looked like inside that den, and apparently the sheriff's office didn't know about it.
And I can't imagine that, this was at the end of a specific 3-month period. And certainly this stuff looks to have accrued far longer than just 3 months. Some of the chains and padlocks were brand new. There was a Walmart receipt for them. But other stuff looked to have been there for quite some time. There were just massive collections of computer gear, boxes of tapes. And I mean, look at this stuff. It's so foul to see restraints on floors and beside beds and on kitchen counters. I mean, there were drugs. I mean, look at this. This is a padlock and chains on the kitchen counter. So it's hard to believe that this all just materialized in 3 months. So I guess maybe no one did do a walkabout or have a visit to this house where three young teenage kids were living with their mother. One last question. The aunt of Holly McFadden, Holly Guest McFadden, the wife who also was murdered, she said that she found herself under floorboards, bloody toddler clothes, photographs that were of children that she did not know, did not recognize, that were of a sexually explicit nature. I can't even go over all the evidence that she found. But those two things specifically, and the ledger that she says they found with children's names and dates beside them. We're not hearing anything from the authorities about this. And given the fact that the authorities screwed up so badly from the beginning, it feels extremely unsatisfying and frustrating to not hear anything further, not even one press conference about this?
Shocking that there's not been a press conference. I think there's probably a level of embarrassment, and you've gone over all the issues. I mean, it's not just this latest issue with the ranch and them just basically packing up and leaving and not even searching the house, which was unbelievable. It's what's gone on with this guy for years and years and years. The fact that he got out of prison early, that he was sexually assaulting other inmates, that he was using his cell phone to get child porn in prison, only got in trouble for 5 months. Then the letters to the other underage girl, still gets out of prison early. It's been a pattern here, and I think that's why we're not hearing from the authorities right now. I think it's embarrassment. Hopefully now they're trying to do the right thing.